Well, Myron, I'm not sure if you did this on purpose, as a gag or whatever, but here it is. What are the odds? Kevin Nash and Scott Hall, the outsiders, facing Stefan Von Berger and the man of the people, Big Jake Blackwell, the insiders.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of funny.
The following tag team match is scheduled for one fall with a 20-minute time limit. Coming down the aisle, at a combined weight of 575 pounds, the team of Kevin Nash and Scott Hall, the Outsiders.
Sense of humor or not, Myron, I've gone back through the records, and this would be the first time the Outsiders and the Insiders knock heads, so good on you for making it finally happen.
Thank you.
Hall and Nash, still stinging a little from their 4-minute loss to the Snarl Tag champs the Psychodelics, and they'd love to put it behind themselves, with a win over Blackwell and Von Berger.
But that is very hard to achieve. A win over almost any member of the Stronghold has become quite the chore lately.
Which would be another great motivation for them wanting to win. They'd like to get even with the Stronghold.
Say whatever you want about these two. They are a huge part of pro wrestling history. I think Hall and Nash got what it takes to beat Blackwell and Von Berger, but they're gonna have to work for it.
Their opponents, joined by Sylvia Strong, at a combined weight of 560 pounds, RWL International Champion Big Jake Blackwell, and Stefan Von Berger, the Insiders.
Another pair of big-time winners within the Stronghold Tag Team ranks, the Insiders, Big Jake Blackwell and Stefan Von Berger, accompanied by the lovely Sylvia Strong. And as usual, Big Jake Blackwell sporting the RWL International Championship, Stefan Von Berger still recovering from the loss of the Rage Television Championship to T-Dog Tomasio, who will also be competing later tonight on Rage. That aside, let's focus on the match at hand. Blackwell and Von Berger certainly have their hands full against Hall and Nash, and they too would like to make it 2-0 against the Outsiders and the Stronghold. Just a brief reminder to you viewers, with this match we will conclude the first hour of tonight's RWL Rage. Thereafter we will return with the second half. Scott Hall and Stefan Von Berger initiating contact here as Willie Johnson rings the bell. Willie caught up by Scott Hall from behind. Look at this, Stefan Von Berger to the rescue, goes behind on Scott Hall and saves Willie Johnson from a fate worse than death. Hung up on the top rope, down goes Scott Hall. Von Berger steps out, his good for deed for the day done apparently. Here comes the man of the people, Big Jake Blackwell, spins Scott Hall around, takes him down to the canvas, and a helicopter spin from the international champion with a slap on the top of the head. And here comes Stefan Von Berger again. The Insiders playing games with the Outsiders here, but Scott Hall doesn't appreciate it. A series of slaps to the chest to Stefan Von Berger, the German technician, catching multiple rib breakers from Scott Hall. The bad guy steps out. In comes big, sexy Kevin Nash. Stefan Von Berger greets him center ring. Swing and a miss from Nash. A series of shots from Stefan Von Berger and a kick takes Nash down to the canvas. Kevin Nash with Von Berger up over his shoulders. The German technician head first into the turnbuckle. Kevin Nash driving the knee right into the throat, bending the neck of Stefan Von Berger at an almost impossible angle. Kevin Nash locks up Von Berger, escorts him to his team's court. Nope, changes his mind, goes the other way around. Big mistake. Von Berger with elbows to Kevin Nash. Von Berger again with that series of martial arts style moves takes him down with another kick. Nash rounded back up to his feet again. A discus punch and down. And I mean down goes Kevin Nash. Sylvia Strong watching with admiration as the Insiders do their thing. Here comes Big Jake Blackwell again. Kevin Nash taking a beating at the hands of both members of the Insiders. Dragon screw from Nash. Nash gathers up Big Jake Blackwell. Blackwell going for the ride here. Whoa! Big time to the outside. Kevin Nash coming out after his prey here. Swings and misses. Double choke lift. But a gouge of the face from Blackwell. A hard shot to the back. And a side suplex. Big Jake Blackwell. Look at this. Whoa! What a brain buster. Oh man, Big Jake Blackwell. Through playing games here. Takes himself back inside the ring. Kevin Nash is laid out, getting himself back up on his feet. Takes himself back inside the ring, thus breaking the count. Blackwell countered by Kevin Nash. Nash locks him up. Up over the shoulder again goes Big Jake Blackwell, again going for the ride. The top rope. Nash with a hard, stunning right. Blackwell counters with a kick. Blackwell drives Nash's head into the turnbuckle here. Takes himself up to the top turnbuckle. Look at this reverse dragon sleeper just hanging Kevin Nash out to dry. Blackwell with a stomp to the midsection. Now with an armbar on Kevin Nash. Well, so far, it's a fair match between both teams. Kevin Nash counters, escapes the hold. Locks up Blackwell. Again. Over. Big Jake Blackwell going for that ride on that top rope yet again. Kevin Nash escorts Blackwell to his team's corner. Puts him in it. Blackwell counters and escapes. Charges. Look at this beautiful wraparound DDT. Face first into the canvas goes Kevin Nash, and here comes Stefan von Berger. The big man from Heidelberg, Germany. Rounds up Nash. Big time clothesline. He spun Kevin Nash around. Absolutely amazing. Nash counters, gets back to his feet somehow. A clothesline takes von Berger down. Here comes Scott Hall. Von Berger right there to greet him. Scott Hall with Von Berger hung up over his shoulders. And this is going to be bad. Scott Hall power bombs Von Berger out onto the floor. With absolutely, look at this, the arrogance of Scott Hall. Takes himself to the outside to round up Stefan Von Berger. Has him up. Atomic drop. Scott Hall with a stomp to the face of Stefan Von Berger. Von Berger driven into the ring steps. Scott Hall takes himself back inside. Willie Johnson continuing to count Stefan Von Berger. And the momentum for the time has shifted towards the outsiders. Hall and Nash appearing to be a little bit more dominant here. What a discus punch. Taking Stefan Von Berger down. Von Berger makes his way back up to a standing position. Rolls himself back inside before Scott Hall. Drives in a knee, a kick, a right, a chop. Another kick takes Scott Hall down. And what a forearm. Shivering out Scott Hall. Big Jake Blackwell brought in on the tag. Scott Hall catches the stomp. Blackwell again going right into that armbar, but the referee calling for the break. Blackwell going right back at that same arm and snaps it. Big Jake Blackwell very aggressive in this matchup against Hall and Nash. Look at this. Stretching the bad guy. Big Jake Blackwell. Extremely aggressive. He steps out, and here comes Stefan Von Berger to try and pick apart Scott Hall. Scott Hall counters with a right. Rounds up Von Berger, slams him down one arm. Scott Hall tags in Kevin Nash. Von Berger back up. Whoa, what a hip toss from big Kevin Nash. A big driving knee right into the head of Stefan von Berger. Followed up with a stomp to the arm. Kevin Nash catches a jawbreaker from von Berger and a knee right to the shelf of the jaw. Wow. Von Berger whips him to his team's corner. There's a kick to the ribs. Drives Kevin Nash's head back into the turnbuckle again. And now a series of driving knees into the ribs of Kevin Nash. Man, Stefan von Berger also turning it up here a notch. Driving all his weight into the chest of Kevin Nash. Takes it all the way up and drops both knees into the chest of Big Sexy. Wow. Stefan von Berger definitely taking it up a notch. In lockstep with his tag team partner, Big Jake Blackwell. Little wonder the Insiders, former tag team champions in their own right. Blackwell watching as Stefan von Berger tags him in. He knew it was time. Whoa, a stunner to Kevin Nash, and he went out 1, 2, almost 3. Not sure how Kevin Nash found his way out of that situation. Blackwell shoved away by Kevin Nash back up to a standing position. Rounds up Big Jake Blackwell. Blackwell with elbows to Kevin Nash. Nash caught up, belly-to-belly suplex. Big Jake Blackwell showing off a little bit of that power. Blackwell escorts Kevin Nash to his team's corner, head first into the turnbuckle yet again. And one more time, just to make sure he don't forget. Look at this. Blackwell right into that inverted dragon sleeper again, just hanging Kevin Nash out to dry, and down he goes again, gasping for air, no doubt. Big Jake Blackwell rounds him up. Double choke toss to Kevin Nash. And here comes Stefan von Berger. Kevin Nash trying to reach Scott Hall for the tag and finally succeeds in doing it. Von Berger with a running kick takes down Scott Hall. Referee counting Kevin Nash. Von Berger off the ropes. Flying fist takes down Scott Hall. And here comes Big Jake Blackwell against Sylvia Strong, just cheering the boys on. Knee to the midsection from Scott Hall. Hall winds up the arm, slaps the back of the head of Big Jake Blackwell. And now Blackwell catching a couple of rib breakers here from the bad guy. Scott Hall tags out. Here comes Kevin Nash. To their credit, the Outsiders also tagging very efficiently, working very efficiently as a unit. A series of shots. Blackwell puts on the brakes. Look at Kevin Nash. He is bleeding badly. A chop across the chest of Blackwell, an elbow to the side of the head. Blackwell driven into the turnbuckle himself. Kevin Nash has him up. Drops him head first into the buckle. And here we go. Kevin Nash calling for it. There's that jackknife powerbomb coming up. Blackwell in big time trouble. Slammed down hard. Kevin Nash covers. 1, 2. Wow, I don't believe it. Big Jake Blackwell powering out of that. Nash misses the kick. Blackwell with a beautiful double arm suplex. Blackwell escorts Kevin Nash towards his team's corner and yet again introduces him to that turnbuckle. Nash, sick and tired of it, retaliates with a series of shots. Blackwell with another stunner to Kevin Nash. Down he goes. Here's another cover. 1, 2, almost 3, but Scott Hall there to save the day for his team. Scott Hall catches it from Blackwell. Cravat suplex. Practically dumps him on top of Kevin Nash. And here comes Stefan von Berger. Whoa-ho! Superman punch. Down goes Nash. Von Berger covers. 1, 2, 3, and wow, the Insiders pulling off another great win.
Here's the time, 11 minutes and 35 seconds. And your winners, the Insiders.
Well, chalk up another win for the Stronghold. over Kevin Nash and Scott Hall. Von Berger and Blackwell prevailing here over the outsiders, while the insiders are victorious.
Alright, so the idea was kind of silly, but you gotta admit, it was a damn good match.
That it certainly was, Myron. Ladies and gentlemen, that takes care of the first half of tonight's RWL Rage. We will return after the break with the second half, and we sure hope to see you there.